All right, coming up in today's show, we're going to discuss Aaron Glenn to New Orleans because it's starting to pick up some steam, but there's also steam getting picked up in other directions around Aaron Glenn. So a lot of updates around this head coaching candidate for the New Orleans Saints, and I just got to ask you right now, is Aaron Glenn your top Saints head coaching candidate? Just give me a simple yes or a simple no in the comment section. I want to know, is Aaron Glenn your number one choice to be the Saints head coach? Now, Josina Anderson, just a couple of days ago, putting this update out there. There's one league source that I talked to who entering this week said they feel the Saints and the Jets are going to end up battling it out over Aaron Glenn. So obviously, this is not a new information. This is information that we knew. But the fact that it's going to probably more likely come down to the Saints and the Jets is definitely something worth monitoring and something worth talking about, because I think Aaron Glenn is one of the top head coaching candidates in this coaching cycle. And obviously with the New York Jets, he does have ties to them. He was a player for the New York Jets for an extended period of time early in his career, but this is also pretty interesting. I thought it was a little bit, I'm not going to say shocking, but a little bit concerning. Like, I started to get a little bit nervous when I saw this report come out that Aaron Glenn has told people that the Jets are his first choice for a head coaching job. But I personally think that the New Orleans Saints job is more appealing for Aaron Glenn specifically. I'm not going to say for any coach, any job, any, position and any person. Like, I think that the New Orleans Saints are not the most desirable coaching spot by any means. But I do think when it comes to Aaron Glenn specifically, for the Jets and for the Saints, I think New Orleans gives him the best chance to succeed. I think it gives him the best chance to win. And I think it gives him the best chance to have a long tenure as a head coach. Now, Dan Graziano, he did add some context around all of this with ESPN. I don't know which job Glenn would pick if it came down to a choice between the Saints and Jets. But based on everything I have heard, I expect the Saints, whose process seems less expansive so far than the Jets' process, to make a strong push for Aaron Glenn and probably land him. And, with Aaron Glenn, he is a guy who at one point in time was a player. He finished his playing career with the New Orleans Saints, and then he kickstarted, it wasn't his first stop as a coach, but he got a big kickstart in his coaching career with the New Orleans Saints under Dan Campbell, and that's why he followed Dan Campbell over to Detroit after Campbell got hired as the head coach. And the New Orleans Saints defense last year was absolutely atrocious, whereas the Detroit Lions defense was actually not all that bad. Look at the rankings. In one metric on your screen, the Saints were in the top half of the league. And that was in red zone scoring percentage for opponents. So the Saints defense is in the top half in red zone defense, but they're in the bottom half in every single other metric. They were one of the worst in run defense. They were one of the worst in pass defense. And crazy stat, did you know that the New Orleans Saints gave up the 30th most yards in 2024? Over 6,400 yards. That is number 30 in the league. There were only a handful of teams. You can literally count on one hand the amount of teams that had more yards given up. The New Orleans Saints were the third worst defense in giving up yards this season. That's not good. And I think Aaron Glenn could fix that problem drastically. He is a defensive mastermind. He is a guru. And the things that he has done with this Detroit Lions defense, despite all the injuries, is very telling. And it's very obvious that he is a quality head coaching candidate. I do love the idea of Aaron Glenn. I think that the Saints should pursue Aaron Glenn. And I'm really worried that at some point in time, Aaron Glenn may actually be the Jets head coach. But I'm really, really hoping the Saints can make a strong case, and I do think that the Saints do have a very good argument to make for Aaron Glenn. Now, coming up, I'm going to tell you a little bit more about the head coaching candidacy and all the updates around that front. But really quick, got to give a shout out to Game Time, today's presenting sponsor. And if you're a lot like me and you enjoy going to live events like concerts, comedy shows, and sporting events, then you got to check out the Game Time app. I've been able to create some memories already in 2025, going to a Co-Wetzel concert, going to the First Responders Bowl with my family and Maddie. I mean, it has been absolutely awesome, and I was able to save $20 on my first purchase because I used code CHATSPORTS. Now, Game Time is an amazing app. You can get views from your seat. Like, literally, you just pull out your phone, you say, all right, here's my seat. I'm going to look over here, Do I have a pillar in the way? Is there going to be some ridiculous scoreboard or something? You can tell from your seats with your vantage point. And it's also really convenient because you can look at concerts, you can look at comedy shows, you can look at theater events, the Harlem Globetrotters, all sorts of crazy cool events going on in New Orleans and in the Gulf Coast region as a whole, including Burt Kreischer coming to the city. So if you guys want to get tickets for that event or any event in your area, it's not just limited to the Gulf Coast region. It's all across the country. Download the Game Time app, use code CHATSPORTS, and you'll get $20 off your first purchase. I highly recommend you check out Game Time Picks. It filters out the fluff to show you only incredible deals on great seats, so you don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets that you know you're not going to buy anyway. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, use code CHATSPORTS for $20 off your first purchase. Terms do apply, but once again, create an account and redeem code CHATSPORTS for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price, guaranteed. So we're going to continue this conversation kind of talking about the New York Jets side of things now. Like, I do believe that the Jets can make a strong case, just like the Saints can make a strong case. Like, I'm not going to sit here and try and beat your ears and to go on and on and on about all the reasons why Aaron Glenn could be the Saints head coach. We already know those. We've talked about those to a massive extent. But with the New York Jets, that's a team that needs a leader, that needs a guy like an Aaron Glenn. And I think that they have a talented young core of a talented young core of defensive playmakers. I think that they have the building blocks for a solid team. I think that they are in a much better situation than the New Orleans Saints are, like right now. But I do think when it comes down to the New Orleans Saints, they have a much more desirable, I would say, situation than the Jets. Like, I don't love the ownership with the Jets. I don't think that they have a really great situation in terms of their division. Like, I just think that when it comes down to it, the Saints are a better option, and I want New Orleans to be aggressive, but not to be desperate. Don't just start freaking out because somebody got hired, because somebody's interviewing somewhere else, and just make your head coaching decision. Like, take your time, be aggressive, be persistent. Don't let your guy leave, but do not be desperate. If one of the guys you want to, if Aaron Glenn, for example, goes and signs with the Jets, shit, man, that sucks. But you have to move forward, and you have to still make a good decision. You can't just pick a guy because you think it's oh my God, okay, we got to scramble and make a choice here. No, be smart, be tactical, and make a good decision. This process, it should take a while. It should not be done overnight. It should not be done in the next couple of weeks. And to be totally honest, the fact that the New Orleans Saints are very high on Aaron Glenn, as long as Aaron Glenn and the Detroit Lions are still in the playoffs, I'm here to tell you, the Saints aren't going to make a hire right then and there. Aaron Glenn should be focused on the playoffs. He should be focused on the things going on with the Detroit Lions. And this is why you subscribe. You would know a lot of this information if you've been subbed to the channel. We're going to be giving you coaching news updates every single day. We're already at 40,300 members of our Golden Gang. So let's get to 41,000 ASAP Rocky. And if you need another reason to subscribe, well, the Falcons today is kicking our ass in our 2025 sub battle. So let's bury the baby brothers of the NFC South. Let's get more subs on this video, and the Falcons will get on their video today, and let's make something happen, all right? Hit the sub button if you're a diehard Saints fan and if you want more content. Alrighty, so with Aaron Glenn, the timeline, like if Detroit continues to win and if Detroit continues to stay alive in the postseason, the earliest that they can interview him is January 27th. However, if the Lions lose next weekend, it's free game. You can go and hire him, in a week, not ideally, but in a certain situation, you could go have your head coach next week. Aaron Glenn and the Detroit Lions would have to lose for that to be the case. I don't know that they do lose, but we'll have to see. And guys, I just think ultimately the New Orleans Saints, they do have some really good options at the head coaching candidacy. Like, I'm a big fan of Joe Brady. I'm a big fan of Aaron Glenn. I'm starting to really warm up to the idea of Kellen Moore. Kliff Kingsbury and Mike McCarthy are also really solid options, and every day that I wake up, I get a little bit more okay with that option as well. So, I don't think that the New Orleans Saints head coaching search is going to end in a bad result. I think that any of these 8 guys, maybe outside of Mike Kafka, would be a good option at the head coaching position. But, we got a tough decision to make, and I want us to make the right decision. So if you want the Saints to nail this head coaching hire, hit the thumbs up icon and like this video. Let's get to 500 likes so we don't jinx it. Saints fans, thank you so much for watching today's video. Y'all stay golden, and we'll see you next time.